No.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Burn the Wagon. We're here to burn the wagon that is capitalism, patriarchy, and colonialism. Today, my guest is the homie Alex, Masarap the Homie. But
What's
we're going
going
to start
on,
off.
yo?
Yep,
Sorry.
yep. No, you're good. You're good. We're going to start off with a little prayer, and then we're going to get into the questions that we got going because this is long awaited. Man, I've been trying to do this for a minute since both of us lived in Santa Cruz, I feel like. So, yeah,
Yeah.
this is long awaited. So, here we go with the prayer. I just want to send love to anybody out there suffering from domestic violence issues. I want to send love to anybody suffering from mental health issues. I want to send love to any of our unhoused community. I want to send love to the land that we stand on. Today, I'm coming to you from Pomo territory. I want to send love to our relatives out in the Congo, Sudan, and Palestine, and anywhere else that colonization has affected us. So Yahweh Yake Apere, Yahweh Kanimachidu. Thank you to our Creator and thank you to our blessings. Today, like I said, my guest, Alex, is a homie that I met down in Santa Cruz, and I was able to go ahead and eat your food at one point in time down there. So that was beautiful, and that's a way to share love. And
Yeah, man.
but yeah, I just want to start off with letting you just do a little intro, like honestly, wherever you feel like sharing, because I like to just give this like a beginning space to you, and just to like get it out there, let people know where you're from,
Mm.
all that type of stuff.
Okay, for sure. My name's Alex. My brand, my Instagram, my whole thing is I'm called Masarap the Homie. It is a Filipino American food pop up, but also like all about the cultura, the lifestyle, everything Filipino. And through this company, through this brand, I've been able to like also pick up and identify my own sort of uh, Filipino identity, and I'm like constantly learning what that is, and it's constantly transforming. And yeah, I don't pretend like I know all the answers. This whole entire thing has been like a learning experience. So this Masarap the Homie is a super fluid, ever evolving idea, and it doesn't have any sort of forms or shapes. But it is centered around food and everything. Like food for me is like a very healing sort of conversational piece. So
Okay.
yeah, and I was born in Hong Kong. I lived in the Philippines with my grandma for a little bit, and then I immigrated to the States when I was really young. I was raised in San Ho, and me and Juan, like you said, we met in Santa Cruz when I was living out there, and now I stay on the east side of Oakland. So I'm just everywhere, bro. I'm everywhere like air. You feel me? Yeah.
That's true. That's a trip too, because I'm in Oakland a lot.
Mhm.
But and we're probably like right down the street from each other or some shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but Hong Kong, okay, I want to kind of start there. Do you have any memory of living there at all?
Yeah, so real bits and pieces. I remember Hong Kong being like a super like industrial city. Me being a little tyke, I was like glued to my mom's hands and my mom's hips. But she never drove, so we would walk everywhere, right? And I just remembered thinking that Hong Kong was bigger than I could even fathom. Like it was too big for me, right? There were like markets down in like cellars. There were I remember distinctly. I remember walking down the streets, and there's like there's money right next to like poverty, like huge skyscrapers next to like really like poor like shanty huts and stuff. But I remember one time walking down the street and there was like this dude with one arm and he was doing push-ups for money. For some reason, why I distinctly remember that. That was like in my brain somehow. But I remember Hong Kong being larger than I could even fathom, just as a like a little as a little kid, you know.
Yeah, that's a trip. To be able to like go from that, and then you said to the Philippines, right? And then
Yeah,
here, that's
yeah,
like a lot of different cultures, like being early in your life, like super
Yeah,
impressionable years of your life. You know what I mean?
yeah, man. Yeah, I I don't remember Manila too well. I remember I remember a lot of poverty. Uh, I lived with my grandma, and in my grandma's neighborhood, like I don't. This isn't this isn't a memory from when I was living with her, but it's a memory from like maybe 2 years when I came back to revisit.
Hmm.
But I went back to see my grandma in that town she was in, and like I didn't know anybody's name in the neighborhood. All the kids knew my name, and which was a trip because I didn't know anything or know nobody in the town, and the streets were all just dirt roads. There's a lot of like bikes, a lot of peddlers, a lot of just like not actual houses, like shanties, like tin roof houses. And I remember a couple things. Like I remember 5, 6 kids sleeping in what was like a studio apart, like a studio space in this shanty. All these kids on the floor, all my cousins. I remember the not having like a shower room. There was a room that you would go into, and there was the tabot, which is like a bucket, and then they had just like a faucet, and that's where we took our showers. And then I remember distinctly one time, the whole town gathered in front of this well, this pump, and hella people with what do you call that? Like the gallon, the big ass gallon jugs and shit. They
Yeah.
would line up, and this guy would just pump water out the well. And when he was done pumping, and there was no more water in the well because there's still a line of people, they started using the hose. And I was all like, why didn't you all just use the hose in the first place? That's a trip. But then I guess like the water in the Philippines is not that great. It's not safe to drink, you know? Um, so just little instances back and forth of the Philippines. I haven't been there in a long time, like since then. So yeah, I'm sure it's like been industrialized and neighborhoods are look cleaner and better. But also those people are also like mad in poverty. I know my family has been in poverty over there. So
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm just now learning about like Filipino culture and all that, but I've definitely learned that we definitely share a colonization story with this, you guys with the Spanish, and obviously us with like the fucking English.
yeah,
So it's like we share that, and we can talk. We're gonna talk about this later with the Palestine and us, like why it's so important for us to have solidarity there. But
mm-hmm.
yeah, like like once I started learning, I was like, damn, like the colonization happens like fucking everywhere.
Yeah.
And yeah, so
Well, and you'd be surprised too. It's not just like the Spanish too. I mean, the U.S. affairs in the Philippines. You could you could say that that was like a mutual aid thing, but also from my eyes, from my point of view, that's also part of the colonization. So you know what I mean? Yeah.
yeah, I mean it like I mean I feel like this is probably like an obvious yeah, but do you want to eventually go back there and spend some time there as an adult?
Oh, absolutely, man. Me and my lady, who I'm very serious about. She's also Filipino,
Hmm.
and we're from like the same sort of province. Uh, we're both Kapampangan, and I think me and her eventually want to live there and like hopefully like in our mid 30s, late 30s. But I think that it's mad important for us to like be out there and I mean actually be with our people because it's I mean our people can be anywhere. My people are like here in Oakland. My people are out in San Jose. My people are out in Santa Cruz. But like a call to home is something that's like you can't disregard. It's in the heart. You know what I mean? Yeah.
No, I feel it because when I was living in Santa Cruz, like doing all this work, right? Doing the podcast, telling people to get reconnected with their culture, their language, all of it, right? And I look around and there's not much of a native population.
Mm-hmm.
And like, so I'm like, man, I really need to get home and I need to like get to that space where there's other native people.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I was going to ask too. Was there a strong Filipino population in Santa Cruz?
Uh, there wasn't. There wasn't. Santa Cruz is a very interesting place because I feel like it. Oh man, and people from Santa Cruz might get mad at me for saying this, but
No,
um,
I'm gonna go to script say it like there's way too many white people out there for me. I
oh
love
yeah,
it.
I mean that for sure,
Yeah.
100%. You know what I mean? But the it's funny how it breeds this sort of like um, for brown people too. It breeds this sort of like want to be assimilated. And like my early years in Santa Cruz, because I was living there for 6 years, um, bro, I had the long hair. I was wearing the denim. I was real rocker type fool. Like I really wanted to be. Well, and I'm still a real rocker type fool, but on some different shit. But I really wanted to be that vampire archetype aesthetic. I like rode the motorcycle. I had on the workwear. I had my hair long. And I was like at the bars drinking every day. So that like that is like a Santa Cruz archetype of a person. You know what I mean?
I was there too. I was there for 10 years. I was just about assimilated, dude.
Yeah.
At the Blue Lagoon all the time, at the
Yeah.
local dive bars, you know what I
You know
mean?
what I
Just
mean?
like
Yeah.
a Santa Cruz, like trying to be a Santa Cruz loc or whatever.
But yeah, you try really hard to fit into those spaces, but it's because there are hella white people. Those social circles, they will romanticize you, and then they'll fetishize you, and then they'll fucking cast you out, because you'll never be good enough for those
Yeah.
social circles. And at least that's from my experience. I can't speak for everybody, but obviously, like there are more people that there are people in my life that I know for a fact have like similar stories or whatever. Going back to the question of is there a Filipino community out in Santa Cruz? Yeah, man. Like I actually met this group of students, and they're part of some of the organizations that we've got to work with before. When we did the Palestinian, the teaching,
Yeah.
there's this group called Anakbayan and the Gabriela Slugs, and they're both student groups organized by the people at the UC, but they're for the collective liberation of the Filipinos in out in the Philippines, because we got some
Okay.
shit going on over there too, um, with like dictatorship and shit,
Yeah.
presidency and shit. But they've done some really good work. They're young and they're organized. They they actually, it's funny. I think they like what do you call that? Um, what do they call it? They unionized two of the Starbucks stores out in.
Ah,
Yeah, those people. Yeah, that organization. Uh, that was their work. Um, so yeah, they're a group of Filipinos that I fuck with out over there. Other than that, I mean, I fuck with all Filipinos when I first meet them and shit. So, um, but I guess we're kind of niche in Santa Cruz. I want to say, yeah.
yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I did find a small group of straight legit homies that are fucking tight as fuck out in
Mm-hmm.
Santa Cruz. Like, I'm not trying to like hate on Santa Cruz at all,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, it is an interesting spot. You know what I mean? It was the first place that I moved like right out of high school, and like I did fall in love. I did have a lot of fun, but overall, like I said, it was time to move home and just be
Yeah,
around more like brown people.
yeah, and I'm not even tripping if there is any sort of if there is sort of some hate, because like I feel you like it's good. You can compartmentalize, right? Like the space was hella beautiful, the environment was hella beautiful, and the individualistic like instances where I met folks and that made me really feel like home was cool. But I felt like me me overall in the town in the space, it was just like this doesn't feel like it's meant for me at all. And I was like fighting against the current for so long. I was like, okay, I'm not gonna like people don't want me in their spaces. I'm gonna make my own space. And then
Yep.
those spaces were even hard too. But toward the end of my route, like I really met some people that made me feel like I could be there, and that to me was like closure and shit. So
Yep.
you know what I
And
mean?
one of those people for me was Tyree Ritchie, man.
Oh
I
yeah,
mean,
bro,
and
absolutely.
I haven't done a podcast in a while, and I haven't really like talked about him, but yeah, just definitely want to like just talk about both like one of your earliest memories with him.
With Tyree, man, I mean, actually, it was crazy, bro. This isn't my first. We didn't get to meet in this instance, but I seen him talk about me on Instagram uh, during COVID, which is crazy because I don't know. A lot of people don't know this. Some people do know this, but I used to work at this place called Alderwood downtown Santa Cruz. It's this fine dining restaurant. They did amazing work. Our team was doing amazing work prior to COVID, and we were. I don't care what anybody says, but we were like the best restaurant in Santa Cruz. It was just like nobody was doing shit the way that we were doing it.
I heard
And,
about that spot,
oh,
and you worked. I heard about that spot, and you worked with one of the homies. What was his name? Mateo. He recently passed away, actually.
oh shit, for real?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
Wait, Mateo?
I got to double check on his name.
All right.
Yeah, but I saw that you guys worked there together. But yeah. That I definitely heard about that spot and definitely wanted to like. I didn't know if you wanted to talk about this story, but I definitely saw
You know,
that video.
bro, I got time for you, bro. Whatever you need. Like I'm on your show, so you ask me the questions, I got you. Like I'll
Smack
tell
the
you.
shit out that white man.
Yeah. Oh shit. Okay, for sure. So during COVID, some shit happened where so everything was shut down. Foods, restaurants, everything was shut down, which is surprising for people who worked in the service industry, who worked in the restaurant industry, because like everybody everybody prior to COVID working in that high level of restaurant knows that you basically gave your life to that place, right? We were just like they call themselves lifers, which I think is kind of corny, but like people were definitely like, this is my whole entire life for real, and I was one of them too. I had a chip on my shoulder. I was showing up to work 2 hours early, unpaid. I was getting paid shit, but I was like, I had something to prove to those people. I wanted to be top dog, you know. But then COVID happened, everything stopped, so I felt like I didn't know what to do because I've been working in that sort of environment where it's go 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 every single day, and then absolutely nothing. So you couldn't eat out nowhere. And then I think maybe like 2 months into it or something like that, they started letting people in bit by bit to go to these places, right? And that gave the people the go ahead to act crazy, bro. Like insane. People are like, okay, things are open again. I'm gonna fucking go crazy. And unfortunately, the place that Alderwood was, I mean, it was a hip, cool place to young folks, but they couldn't afford it. The people that could afford it were like people that owned property or blah blah blah, or like they had the pay gap, the money gap. It was so few, bro. The people that are eating there, the people that are dining there, were the ones with the fucking Skrilla, bro. So I remember we started opening up, and I wasn't even working that day, but I went in to have dinner with my two roommates at the time, and I wanted to show them, hey, like, because they're always like, bro, where you at? Like, you're never home, blah 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 and shit. I was like, I wanted you to see the level at of what I do, like where I work. I want you to see the symphony that is this restaurant. Why I'm giving all of my time to it. So I took them out, right? And then there was a group of people that were just acting crazy, bro. Like dumb crazy. Like they were fucking yelling out sexual fucking advances to people all along the restaurant. There was a dude with a broken leg there that was scooting on his scooter around the restaurant like it was his own playground, bro. And what I heard, because my partner at the time was the like was assistant to the general manager there. Uh, she was young. She was like in, I think like had to be like 24, 25. They basically upper management knew about this party, dipped out knowing that they were acting a problem, only left 24 and 25-year-olds to run the place, basically. But she was trying to calm them down. They got cut off from the bar because they're hella drunk. They popped more bottles, ones that they brought, blah, blah, blah. And we had these plexiglass partitions that weighed like 300 pounds, dividing the tables for safety. Whoop de wop, the fucking the partition falls on me. So I get up and I'm like, hey, y'all acting crazy, bro. Y'all acting, you're doing too much. Like, you fucked my shit up. Like, we're just trying to have a good time. And they're like, yeah, whatever. They said, quote, and I quote, we're spending more money than you, so it's all right. Right?
Wow.
So this is where I mean, we can touch on it later on, but like capitalism, bro, like the just the wage disparity, like the like privilege, privilege motherfuckers. And anyway, it falls on me a second time. And from the video that a lot of people have seen is that they pushed it over on me on purpose. So when I pushed it back, when I got it off me, the staff helped me get it off me. Um, it was just go time, bro. Some they went around the table. Somebody threw a swing at me. I took I grabbed my cup of water. I threw it at that fool, and then it was just like a scramble. Hella people were on me. I was like I was just throwing chin checks where I could, but it was crazy. It was like 5-1, and where was I even going with this story, bro? Uh,
We started talking about my first memories of Tyree.
oh yeah. Okay, yeah. Okay, so all that shit happens, right? All that, and police, it was on the news, yeah, whoop de wop, and I I stay quiet about it, but I see other shit happening out in Santa Cruz, in like that the racial the racial tension, the political racial tension was crazy in Santa Cruz because people were going crazy off not being able to go to stores without masks and shit. The George Floyd riots were happening and shit. So there was like there was a lot of tension in that small town, right? So some shit happened where this dude from a liquor store or whatever was saying racist ass shit to one of the employees or whatever, you know? And then Tyree actually hopped on a call with one of the employees, right? And they were just, and I saw it posted up on Instagram, and they were just talking about it back and forth, back and forth. And then Tyree actually shouts me out. I was all actually, he's like, and also that dude at that restaurant and shit, where he got fucked, like where people were trying to fuck him up and shit. He was all like, I hope that dude's okay, yada yada. And that was the first time I actually seen Tyree, like for real. Um, when I first met him, he was working at the farmer's market, you know, and I thought he didn't like me, bro, because I ordered pupusas like right when they closed and shit, and I was trying to yeah, I was trying to sit down, and he's like, bro, I'm packing up. He grabbed the chair across from me. He's like, I'm packing up. I was like, hey, my bad, bro. Like, yeah, you got it. You're good. You're right. Hella late. I'm on PC time. You're right. You good. But then uh, when me and Tyree started getting involved with each other is um, it was actually quite recently with all the Palestine stuff going on, and I know that he was an active figure in the community in terms of um, how do I say this in terms of just being an activist. I feel like just like there's there are black people in Santa Cruz, but when it comes to making like political social change in Santa Cruz, there's not much of like I don't want to say like um, organized community. And there's like I know a few people are doing it. He was doing it. Black Surf is doing it. But in terms of like for people who wanted to speak about representation in the black community and involves themselves with social political change, which in within Santa Cruz, um, like Tyree was pretty much like the dude that was leading a lot of those conversations. So I immediately fucked with him, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and for me, like, I immediately fuck with him because he don't like he's not doing it to get a nonprofit tax break. He's not doing it
oh no,
to get to get grants. He ain't doing it to fucking get this money, right? He's doing
yeah,
it for actual change, and that's why I fuck with him.
yeah. Well,
And
I'm gonna turn on this light real quick.
yeah, yeah. And like you said, man, he showed up everywhere. If there was an event or if there was some type of teaching, if there was some whatever it was
Oh yeah,
to help the community to show his face and say he support or to show that he supports, that man was there.
yeah. Tyree was really a man of the people, and like a lot of the times, like you have these people in these spaces who speak a big game, um, and they're all like, "Oh, come support this thing that I'm organizing," but like would never really show their face and stuff, you know, when it comes to other things. But Tyree was, like you said, he was always there. Like he for real showed up to the important things, um, and I just knew he wasn't on any foo foo shit. Like he was really he was really about it, and like anybody that knows what's going on with Tyree knows that he's like a man of his word, and he not even that. He's just he lives what he preaches, you know. So yeah, nah, I really love that man.
Yeah, man, I do too. Love you, Tyree. But yeah, we talked about the restaurant. I definitely want to talk about you being a chef and like the
Okay, yeah,
beginnings of that. You know what I mean? Who I always like to ask this to people, no matter like what it is, if they're an artist, chef, rapper, whatever it is, beat maker, like who was that person to like here, like this is what it's about, or even if you were just sitting around watching somebody and you were like just clicked, they didn't even hand you nothing, it just clicked that you were just watching them or whatever it may be. I just like to ask who that person was.
yeah. I mean, I don't think I can pinpoint it on one person entirely. I
Yeah.
think that there throughout my whole entire career, there's been like maybe three or four people where like it it made me want to be a chef or a better chef. Um, and I can name them, but the what made me want to be a chef, I don't even really know. Um, when I first started cooking, I straight out of high school, I didn't want to go to college, right?
Mm-hmm.
I really wanted to dick around, and I told myself I would dick around for a year and just do whatever. And so I got a very like level entry job. I got a very level entry job at a hotel as as a houseman. Basically, it was the grunt work. I was like doing all the laundry, the linens, cleaning up. Um, basically cleaning up all like the communal spaces, the lobby, the outside. I was deep cleaning. It was just like a lot of cleaning and maintenance work. Um, but I was really bad at my job because I hated it and I didn't care. And I was 18 years old, and I was just like, this is whatever. And I remember being hella bad at my job, and I would spend all my time during the day not doing my job, but I would spend it in the kitchen chopping it up with the chefs over there. And then this the chef Monica, she she didn't even care, bro, that I wasn't doing my job. She's like, it doesn't affect me. Like, I like talking to you, blah blah blah. And then I think after like a month, she's like, bro, why don't you just, since you're always here, why don't you just transfer into the kitchen, you know? And yeah, I loved being there, seeing what she was doing, and it just seemed more interesting. So I made the transfer, and that's when I like officially got like my first kitchen job. Technically, my first kitchen job was working at McDonald's at 14, but I hated that shit. Like,
Shit, it sounds like Monica was the Yoda or
yeah,
whatever you
no,
want. You know what I mean?
Monica was definitely, dude. She was loud and obnoxious and didn't give a fuck and hated both her bosses, like just like me. So it was kind of see her. It was super dope to see her take up space in this place where everybody is like worried about the our boss, our general managers, and all that, and she just didn't give a fuck. So I think that's what really like attracted me to her in the space in the first place. And then gradually from there, like I just started working. I started working in more restaurants, and yeah, I just kept progressing in terms of like the level of restaurant, and yeah, I just stuck with it for years. So yeah, I guess
And
um, I guess yeah, but there have been like three people, individual people that I was like that really like made me move, like push past what I thought I was capable of, for real.
yeah, I mean, it sounds like Monica was like either like, well, she obviously said that you're in there, you might as well transfer, but she might have just felt that like, oh shit, this
Hmm.
is something where he needs to be, or I don't know, you never know.
Yeah,
She
man. Yeah, she definitely trajected that sort of path for me for sure. She opened up the space too. So yeah.
and like I said, I tried your food out in Santa Cruz, and I took my little cousins, and they're half native and half Filipino,
Mm,
and they were like, "Yo, this is dope! Like,
mm.
we don't really get this out in Santa Cruz that often." So it was dope for them to be able to pull up to a Filipino like pop up and just like try your food. You know what I mean? So
Did,
like being
did
able to
they?
put on for your people like that is dope.
Yeah. Were they living in Santa Cruz or are they from the rest too?
Yeah, they lived out in Aptos.
Okay, for sure. Okay, dope, dope, dope.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah, to be able to put on for your people is like that's super fucking dope, especially in Santa Cruz where there is a population, but it's not like the Bay. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
no, for real, for real.
and
I feel
and
like. Go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
No, no, I wasn't going nowhere. I want go ahead.
Okay, so and I was gonna pop back to that. I was scrolling your Instagram earlier, and I remember trying this. That the I think it's the ube bread.
Hmm.
Man, that shit was fire.
Oh, thank you.
So like, and I also see those big dinners that you do too.
Hmm.
Did you grow up doing those types of dinners with your family and shit?
Nah, man. So actually, my mom was a single mom after she had me, and then we actually met. She met my dad, who is this white dude. Well, my adopted father.
Yeah.
I say adopted father because he is the one that raised me, and he's the one that like implemented like what it means to be a man in me. So, um, but yeah, she met my adopted father, who is this white dude from the Bay Area, um, and that's when I moved out over here. Um, and his, well, like it's interesting. It's interesting because like his family never had those like big family parties. They did, but like in very special occasions.
Hmm.
Where with brown folks, we gather whenever we can. You know, like if it's your cousins, coworkers, little sisters, kinsey, like everybody's invited. You know, so like I did have big family parties, but there were more of like a special occasion thing.
I
And
see.
then my immediate family was just me, my mom, my brother, and my sister, and my dad. So it wasn't like big
I
necessarily,
see.
you know. So, but I did see in different cultures that food is like a reason, or it's one of those vessels um, that is. It almost works hand in hand with these giant family gatherings. You know what I mean? But yeah, I don't know if that answers your question.
And like, yeah, I did. And that like those styles, like
Mhm.
when you do that, it reminds me when we go to ceremony, right? We'll dance for like a couple hours, right? And then at a certain point, we cut it off and say, all right, we're gonna have a big meal,
Yeah.
and everyone brings their meal or their food, whatever it may be, potluck style. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we sit in the ceremony house and we all eat together.
Yeah.
And like you said, that's just like super, like it's like almost a type of medicine. People can come together and like share that together, especially if people are cooking for each other. That's
Yeah.
love. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. I mean, food is a spiritual thing, man. Like, I mean, it's quite literally sustenance, energy. Um, it's it's ritualistic. It's healing. It's medicine for real, for real. The not just like, I mean, and these the events that I think that you're talking about is they're called Kamayans,
yeah,
where it's like the banana leaves
yep,
on the
exactly.
tables. Yeah,
Yeah.
that that is something that like I never learned how to do growing up as a kid. We never had that like for me because I was living with my white pops, so
Yeah.
it's so his culture is way different, and I grew up knowing that American culture for real because my mom when she my mom and me got to the states at the same time, so she was trying to assimilate, and I was learning life.
Hmm.
So to do those Kamayan dinners, it is really ceremony, and like I was saying earlier, is like this this brand or this thing that I've been cultivating over the course of years now has really enabled me to touch on these ancestral things that I never learned as a kid. I'm kind of learning them for the first time as an adult. So doing the Kamayan thing is like it's super ceremonial. The it's supposed to represent equality and because everybody gets sat at the table at the same time, all the food gets laid out at the same time, and there's no plates, no silverware. Everybody's eating communally with their hands, and like in I feel like a lot of cultures, except for like Eurocentric cultures,
Hmm.
have that where they eat with their hands. Um, and a lot of people are like they don't even want to do like they don't want to be that intimate with folks, right? They won't even get themselves to like, you know, but it breaks all barriers, right? And once you start getting comfortable picking out the food with your hands uh, amongst a person that you may have never ever met, it opens up room for conversations, and it's a super intimate deal, man, and it's it's one of those things that take a lot of work, like a whole day for preparation, and yeah, no, it feels ceremonial. It really is.
It looks like it. I mean, I feel like the way that you explain it right now is like definitely tapping into that ancestral, like, you know what I mean? They definitely feel it. Um,
We
so it's beautiful to be able to see people doing that, and like you said, you didn't grow up doing this, but at a certain point, you're like, I'm gonna start doing this. I'm gonna start getting reconnected,
Yeah.
because that's how it is for a lot of people. Like right now, with like singing songs, like traditional songs for us, and like singing, dancing. A
Hmm.
lot of people are they're later in their lives. I'm gonna start picking this up. Like my aunt, she's 70, I think 60 something, right? And she went to our traditional roundhouse for the first time when she was this last weekend. So I don't think it's ever too late for anybody to pick any of this up. So like,
Yeah.
I think that's dope that you're picking it up and just starting to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and like I think it goes back to what I was saying earlier is like you know in your heart where home is, right? So there's certain things about our person that you may have never done the thing ever in your whole entire life, and you might be in your 70s, but as soon as you're there and you're doing it and you're in it, it just makes sense, right? So to me, that it just made sense to do it, and I love doing it now. I love doing because
Yeah.
I think as a chef who has functioned in high end kitchens, um, it's all about like the manipulation of either the vegetable or the animal or the sauce, right? It's about like different components that we pay attention to every small component on a plate that will be presented to a singular person, and those people are cut off from everybody else who are eating at the restaurant. So there's like we put all this time and effort to like a singular dish, and what the Kamayan allows is like there's no frills or thrills. It's really the food and the people, and the food is just a vessel for the conversation. So that's what I really love about it. And I think as a chef, it's not just my job um, to make great food, but I think I'm also supposed to be a bearer of conversation, right? To tell stories and shit. So
One of these days, man, we're gonna. Well, we're gonna. I just had. I don't know, an idea where we come through, do this thing, and then we also have a like a live podcast vibe. You know what I
that'd be
mean?
tight.
Like
That'd be tight.
that'd be super tight. Just in the bay, something super intimate. Small. Just I don't know. You know what I mean? Like I just had that, just like that vision right now. I think that would be super dope.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm down for whatever, man. I'm out here. So
Hell yeah, let's do it. And speaking of the Bay, and the Bay is like always popping off with shit for Palestine, and we talked about earlier. I really think it's super fucking important for us to be like stand in solidarity with
mhm.
the Palestinian people. Yeah, I just wanted to see your thoughts on that situation, how important it is for us to like be in solidarity with them.
Yeah. One second. I'm gonna turn on this light now because I
Oh,
was
you're good.
wondering about. I you know I read that question on the prompt that you sent me, and like to me it was like easy to answer, and it's also like hard to answer because uh, how do you explain something that should be very like apparent to people, and it's apparent to me why standing in solidarity with Palestine is important. Um, but a lot of people haven't been in the shoes of like the the people who've been oppressed. Um, and there's like a bunch of nuances that I want to talk about, but I think that I think quite obviously, you know, there um, there are very inhumane things happening to to these people. There's a genocide happening in real time in front of our eyes every day. So when we talk about our history of genocide and how people reflect on that, and we talk about how fucked up and how disgusting that is in terms of our history. Yeah, where we have this thing that is so quite obviously a genocide in front of us, yet there people tiptoe around the conversation and justify things. Um, to me, that doesn't make sense. Um, why is it important? Um, it's important for a number of reasons. I think our generation, we're we want to we're going to be the ones to see to make the world for our children, um, and we want to shape the world in ways that we can have children, right? And we want to be well informed and give them the right information. Um, for me, um, man, for me, it's really important to teach them the history of in which the ways the world will do harm to them, right? So they can be well informed in the ways that they move. Um, and quite obviously, what's happening in Palestine with the apartheid state, with the genocide, with heavily policing, with starvation, with people disappearing without any sort of trial, people being arrested without any sort of due process. Those themes are also happening in the state that we live in the United States, right? So, and the United States and Israel are hand in hand, right? Israel lobbies hella money to the U.S. To fuck with our laws, to fuck with Congress. They're the only. I mean, I was hearing something. I was reading something about APAC, um, and it's about the pact that Israel has with the United States, and how they're like the only people that don't have to like check in um, to like some I forgot what it was called. They're the only people that can like legally lobby money into our like Congress and our government. So like quite literally, like the U.S. and Israel are hand in hand, and we have people like police forces getting training from Israel soldiers and things. So it's just like there's no there's no working a way around it. Like they're homies, and
Yeah.
so all those themes that are happening over there quite literally will happen to us here, or they already are happening to us here.
Yeah.
People are disappearing, bro. Like protesters are disappearing. Um, we're gonna live in a state where we're gonna live in a place where you won't be able to voice an opinion pretty soon. To me, like people, to me, that's like a very that's a real like that will be a reality pretty soon. People are like, no, it won't be like you're exaggerating, but no, it's quite literally happening right now.
And I mean, to be honest, like especially with a brand like Burn the Wagon,
Mm,
like I was supposed to leave the country this summer, but like I don't think I'm not gonna go just because like I'm sure like I don't know like I could be wrong, but motherfuckers are probably already watching what I'm like what we're like you know what I mean like
oh, look, I do want to like. I want the homies to take heed that like in your fight for liberation, you have to be extremely careful these days because I mean I hear it all the time, and I want to feel like I'm exaggerating, but quite literally, all these student protesters are disappearing, activists are disappearing. They they have tabs on pretty much anybody that says anything all the time, and I feel like such a fucking like Dale Gribble about it. But like for real, like no, for real, like
I
it's a
like
thing.
that reference.
And I mean, for example, I so Ramadan just happened, right?
Yeah.
And me and my homie, who are both Muslim, we put on this gigantic iftar um, for 70, like 70 Muslim and non-Muslim folks, but it was a celebration of Ramadan, so
Hmm.
predominantly Muslim folks were there, and we got reported back from two of his friends that were outside the building that the one of the attendees that was in a hijab, she walks outside and immediately walks into a cop car, and then they drive off. So, and I'm not really sure how accurate that is. I don't want to believe that's a truth, but if we have to expect that it's a truth. Um, so I do believe that there are people keeping tabs on anybody who is very like active against Israel and who are pro-Palestinian. Um, but yeah, I think it's super. I think it's super important to stand with Palestine just because of the concept of collective liberation.
And like you said, you'd think it'd be an obvious thing, like, oh, there's a genocide literally fucking happening with, like, we look on our phones and it's literally happening. But there's a lot of people, and like, there's even people in my community, in the indigenous community, that have like tapped in with me and been like, oh, well, what about October 7th? And it's like, are you forgetting about the 76 years before October 7th?
Mm-hmm.
So like, I don't think people are truly, and even I'll say this about myself too, like, until recently, like, I recently started really like you said, talked about the history, right? Really diving into the history of what happened.
Mm-hmm.
And like, yeah, Jewish people did live in that, in these spaces in Palestine, and they coexisted. But after like World War II happened, and more Jewish people started coming, and the Jewish state started being created, those Jewish people went into the Jewish state, right? And the Palestinian were like pushed out.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I don't think people understand the true history behind that. They just think like October 7th, and that's all that's happened, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think I think the idea of uh, Zionism is inherently racist, right? And they sold like Zionists sold um, these the Jewish people this idea of a homeland who were living in Europe, and that's from what I understand, from what I read,
Yeah.
But there are people already living there, and the Palestinians opened up their space to them, their land to them, um, and what I think is really important to understand too is like Israel is funded and backed with money and weapons and resources, right? I don't think um, and is hand in hand with the U.S., one of our biggest allies. So to me, that is inherently like that should raise some red flags, right? I don't think you have a place that's one of the most resourceful places in the world right next to a bunch of Arab countries who are living in poverty in a highly how do you say this in a highly basically they control all the borders around Palestine.
A
And they
highly policed or a highly
police,
militarized
yeah,
area.
militarized. They they're they control the borders by land, air, and sea. You can't get out of there without moving through checkpoints, right? So I can't even imagine what that's like. That's quite literally being a prisoner, and and that's right next to one of like the most resourceful countries in the world, and that should be like a fucking big like eye opener. Um, and who's I mean like I don't know everything that we've ever been taught about Arabs growing up, um, the way that we were taught to perceive Arabs and Muslims, um, they
I
all
mean,
it all turned out to
every-
be a crock of shit, dude. Like
everything that we've been taught about, most everything is
yeah,
a crock of shit.
yeah,
So yeah, and I just can't wrap my head around the people that are still fucking talking about October 7th.
yeah. It's really interesting. People, you said people in the Native community have come up to
Yeah,
you.
yeah,
That's really interesting, man.
and
Um,
yeah, it's a very interesting conversation to have,
yeah,
honestly. Especially, you'd think that, oh, our people experience genocide as well, so I'm going to support these other people that are also experiencing genocide. But I think, like you said, Zionism has done a really good job at selling itself to certain people, and it's sold to them.
mm-hmm.
So it's like it's hard to like pull them back in and be like, actually, let's talk about this
Yeah.
without like them like you know pulling some right wing fucking arguments.
Well, I think as I was growing up. Okay, this would be interesting to say. I mean, as I was growing up, I knew about anti-Semitism, right? Like, I knew about the jokes that people made amongst Jewish people, all the cliches and stuff that people made amongst Jewish people. I've heard, I've definitely heard those stereotypes, those cliches, and I wanted like that's what I thought like anti-Semitism was like. You were making fun of these folks in a very like informal, almost like through the perception of what they look like, sort of way. Um, but when you dive deep into like the history of like Israel and just the Jewish state and the um, how Jewish people have, um, or how do I say this without sounding hella crazy? Uh, you see like the Jewish state's involvement, Israel's involvement in government, in media, um, in politics, in like they literally lobby hella money into our government to make sure that they're perceived correctly.
Yeah,
And media is like we consume media just like eat it, eat it, eat it, eat it. Especially the newer generation. We just consume media in mass amounts. There's something fishy going on. You know,
yeah.
and I actually I don't think she'll ever see this, but I actually had a partner who who did her. I mean, she was Jewish, and her family was affluent, and she had she did her, what do they call it, like the pilgrimage or the birthright to
Uh-huh.
Israel.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and she had cousins in the army, and when things started going down, like I reached out to them. I was like, hey, like I don't know how your family's doing, or I don't know how you're doing, but I'm hoping like you guys are good, even like through like what's going on right now. And she like straight up just like blew up on me about like she's telling me like I'm uninformed. She's telling me like I don't know what's going on, that there are two extremist groups and all this stuff, you know. And like I am uninformed in some aspects, but I do know what a genocide looks like. You know, I do know that there are women and children being uprooted and dying, and in mass amounts.
Yeah.
And I know that these are brown people, and I know that it's happened to my people. I know it's happened to your people. I know currently kids are being kept in cages right here in the states, um, and those things all coincide with each other because on the very top, the people with the money are making the laws and the legislature. So, um, and they all fuck with each other, all of them.
And
Uh, yeah,
it's all of our tax dollars that's making these things happen. And people complain about like the unhoused community situation getting bad in cities, right? But
yeah.
then support sending money to Ukraine or Israel. And it's like, okay, like I don't know. I don't understand people's logic sometimes
Well,
in
not just that. People want to talk about the houseless community over here and how people are like hooked on fentanyl, but like, bro, you literally brought opioids. You sell people opioids over the counter, and then you get them hooked on that, which is just as bad as any sort of street drug. And then they can't get their fix off the counter uh, because they don't have health insurance, so they can't pay for their medication, right? But they're still in pain, so they look for a street drug, and they're so much in pain they have to fucking do it over and over again. Now they're on the street, and then quite literally, like our health insurance is a joke. Like people, all everything that should be free to us is privatized, and you want to complain about how this generation doesn't work as hard. They don't pull themselves up by their bootstraps, right? But it's literally impossible to do shit around here. Like it's fucking impossible. Everything is going up. Everything. Like especially in the food industry too. Like the margins were slim. Now they're like even slimmer. So you gotta be super tactical with your shit. But
yep.
it's not like I'm bankrolling every month. You know what I mean? I haven't
Yeah.
had healthcare in 10 years. If if I quite literally fell off my motorcycle, there was like a hole on my foot because the motorcycle dragged on top of my foot, and I was wearing fucking running sneakers. And the dude the when the police came, they're like, "Oh, we're gonna call you an ambulance." And I was like, "Wait, bro, can I walk? Like, will I be all right? Do I need surgery?" He's like, "Well, technically, you don't need surgery, but like, you should probably get it checked out." I was like, "Don't call the ambulance. Tell them to go back." And that's the reality that we live in. Everything is privatized. Everything costs money. We pay fucking a crazy amount of taxes, but we don't see how that applies to any sort of um, uh, any. It doesn't apply to healthcare, or it doesn't apply to our roads. It doesn't apply to like where is the aid that we can see tangibly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's probably why you should give a fuck about Palestine too, bro. Because like all that all that money that you be giving up on your checks, every week. Where is it going? It's going to prison industrial complexes. It's going to fucking foreign affairs. It's going to God fucking knows what. You know?
It's not going to schools. It's not going to fucking have free lunches for kids. It's not going to their sports. It's not going to anything else, any extracurricular. It's not going to community centers. It ain't going to fucking that, but it's going to fucking the 1%
Exactly.
pockets. But
And yeah, and you build up a system where people are rigged to fail, but then when people get smart and they try to like make their way around it, then you fucking arrest them. You hit
yeah,
them with a bunch of different uh, uh, bills, or you hit them with a bunch of different like infractions, and then you really drown them in shit. Like
yeah,
you can't win. The system wants you to fail. It wants you to be
yeah,
complacent, and for these things that cost money.
yeah.
Um,
And I like that you said that you are uninformed because I'm the same boat. Like, and that's why like I really started this podcast because like I wanted to get informed and I wanted to have conversations like this so like we can like expand my especially me expand my thought process. You know what I mean? And expand my palette of thinking. So
yeah,
yeah, it's
I
always important.
I always feel like super unarticulate when it comes to these sort of situations because like I I didn't go to school. And at school, I mean, you didn't even need school, but to like study history. But I always feel like the least equipped person in the room, and I really want to come forth in a way that feels like integral to my beliefs, and at the same time is informed. You know, um, but in the very deep parts, like I know what power looks like, and I know what the people who are suffering from that power look like. And
Yeah,
it's obviously Palestinians, right?
yeah,
Um, and that to me is just so cut and dry clear. Um, we can argue semantics about it all you want, but it's very clear about who has the power and who doesn't, and that could be any one of us for all. I see Palestinian men and children and women, and I see me and my colleagues and my peers.
I agree. Um, so yeah, I just wanted to on this last little part. I always ask this question to everybody. What is some advice that you would give to your 16-year-old self, and do you think you would listen?
Shit, boy.
Because I know I wouldn't listen to any fucking thing I was saying for sure.
If I could give advice to,
At 16, I would have cussed myself out.
um, at 16, I think I would tell myself, um, that it's not all about you. It's really about what you can do for other people, and it's about the greater collective good. And you have to give yourself into that. And everything that you put out into the world comes back tenfold, whether it's harm, or whether it's love. And I think a lot of the times in my as I was growing up, I didn't have a big homie to like let me know that causing harm is not just it's not it's not a normal thing. Like
Hmm.
causing harm shouldn't be normalized. You know what I mean? Um, because this catches up with you, and if it's not, it's gonna be kept in your vault for the rest of your life. You think time like throws it away, but nah, you're gonna have to really look into yourself. So I would want to tell my 16-year-old self that it's okay to be as insecure as you are, but always try to make sure that you do good by the people who are gonna do good to you. Um, Also, start working out, bro. Just do some push-ups, man. uh, Run. Uh, Stop hanging out with people who are destroying themselves. You know.
I fuck with that last part. I was hanging out with all the people that was destroying themselves. So I really fuck with that last part.
Yeah.
Again, man, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it. It was a dope ass conversation. Again, for all the listeners, go and give Masarap the Homie a follow on Instagram. I thank you so much, Alex. I appreciate you coming on and just having this dope ass conversation.
I appreciate you. Oh, can I plug my shit real quick?
Absolutely.
Yo, so my IG handle is Masarap at Masarap the Homie. I'm at this place called Couch Day every Friday night from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. It's in downtown Oakland, right next to the historic Black Panther building. Come check me out, bro. Like I do Filipino food. I'm everywhere, like all around the Bay Area, all the way from Santa Cruz out to Oakland, and then some. And I just want to say thank you. I appreciate y'all. Like much love.
Next time I'm in Oakland, I'll come check you out for sure.
Oh yeah, bro. And it won't be the first or the last time, bro. So
For sure. Hell yeah.
heck yeah, man. All right, Juan. Love you, bro. I love you, man.
Love you too, man.
Take it easy.